Hi everyone, my name's Alyssa. I struggled with the beginning of this with finding out who I was going to do my hero speech on for the fact that I don't believe in heroes. Everyone is flawed, all humans are, and it's difficult for me to idolize somebody who I know also has his flaws. Now, if I could have chosen my dog Lily, she's perfect in all ways. Kidding, only kidding. But I did end up choosing Robin Williams. There were a lot of things about his history that I did not know about. I looked up a lot of information, firstly from biography.com. I found out he was born in Chicago, so cool to us. Had no idea about that. Gives us a little bit of hope. And then I found out he also went to Juilliard, which to me is a big deal because I always dreamed to go to Juilliard and to become a singer and an actress. When I finally realized when I was a teenager that that wasn't realistic, I decided to become a nurse, and I love it. So I'm glad that I did that. After going to Juilliard and graduating and creating his stand-up career in New York and Chicago, he moved out with Christopher Reeves to LA and San Francisco and started his stand-up comedy there. As he started to gain popularity, he was on a couple of shows in the 70s, like the late 70s to 80s, called Mork and Mindy and Happy Days. I've not ever seen those, but everyone always talks about them. So another thing I was not aware of that I got from biography.com was that he struggled with addiction. Addiction with sex, alcohol, and drugs. I had no idea. He just always seemed like such a happy, go-getter person. He was married to another actress. Her name was Valerie Valerdi. They had a son together. She did not fault him at first. This is a direct quote from USA Today. She did not fault him at first for the infidelities because she said it was a occupational hazard of being married to somebody who was a star. I think that's a little weird, but we know from all the times of it happening that it must be. Eventually, after he was having relations with a cocktail waitress for 2 years, she decided that she was going to leave and move on with her life. After that, he still struggled with abuse of drugs and alcohol and sex, but in the late 80s, early 90s, biography.com says that he had been sober starting in like the late 80s, early 90s. And that's when all the movies from when I was a child that I remember came out. Jumanji, Flubber, Hook, my favorite Aladdin, and many more. There was another movie called Good Will Hunting. It's more of an adult film, but I was too young to have watched it, and I think I've only watched it one time. However, he stayed clean up until 2006. And then he relapsed on drugs and alcohol, and he went into rehab and had been sober ever since. However, in 2013, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. According to USA Today, he hid it from everyone but his family. He didn't want people to worry about him or to know what was going on with him. He started having hallucinations, which is when he was diagnosed with something called Lewy body disease, otherwise known as Lewy body dementia. It's very common with people who get Parkinson's. My great-grandfather, who has Parkinson's, actually has it as well. On something that hurt me so bad, I had just graduated from high school in 2014. He, in August, killed himself. He hung himself. His wife at the time found him, and for me, I was devastated. He wasn't even in my life, but for me, the reasons that he is such a hero to me is because of what he means. And for me, that's hope, that's caring, that's his spirit, his struggles, the fact that he was able to overcome his struggles, even though it did end up with him killing himself from a physical and mental struggle that he could not control. His acting and everything he did in his career and even outside, it reminds me of myself. He has a quote, and I'm going to read it for you guys. And it says, "I think the saddest people always try the hardest to make people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anybody else to feel like that." I am that person 100%. There was an article created by Megan Gibson right after he did end his life, and it is called Why Robin Williams Was a Millennial Hero. And it is all about how he helped us develop who we are. That even though his roles weren't as significant, I mean, they were magnificent, but Mrs. Doubtfire being able to portray a father's love to where he would, don't do it now because you'd probably go to jail, but he dressed up as a nanny and he cared about his kids so much, and that he went out of his way to lie to the entire community that loves him about his disease because he didn't want them to worry. That's why he is my hero, because I care so deeply about people, and you could tell that he did. So, hope that makes sense. And that's my speech. Thanks.